All right, in this video, we're going to talk about how to burn fat fast as a firefighter, and it's not what you've been taught. In fact, it's probably the opposite, and this is the exact same strategy that I used with Scott, who is a longtime firefighter in the Metro Detroit area. He lost 20 pounds in just 3 months, doing less than he's ever done before, while also juggling being the union president at his fire department. So you know Scott was a busy guy, and I can tell you from personally working with him, he likes to work a lot of overtime, and he's got kids. So this guy did not have any time, and nor does he need it, nor do you need it. So if that's something that interests you, I'm going to invite you to book a free strategy session with one of our enrollment coaches and see if the program that we have would be of benefit to you as a firefighter. All right, let's get on to the video. All right, what's the first thing that you need to understand if you're going to burn fat fast as a firefighter? And that is this. It is not about doing endless cardio. No more endless amount of cardio. That time can go back to 2008. We can leave it there and we can let it die in peace because we just know too much now. We know that doing more cardio does not equal more fat loss. So let me give you a little insight and let you in on a little bit of a secret. When you do cardio, especially in higher zones, higher heart zones, like zone 3, 4, 5, more so 4 and 5, when you have really intensive cardio, your body actually doesn't burn any fat. It burns zero amount of fat, right? It burns all glucose, the glucose that's stored in your muscles specifically. So what happens when you're doing that? You can do a lot of cardio and you'll lose weight, but you'll come to find that although you're getting smaller, you're not getting less fat. Your muscles are being depleted, and you can see this if you need an example. I'm sure you can think of like a long distance runner who, lost a lot of weight, somebody that maybe it's somebody at your station, and they just end up being skinny fat. Like that's what it is, right? They've lost weight, but they still have the pudge. And their body composition hasn't necessarily changed. They've just lost muscle and they've gotten weaker. Now, if that's what you want to do as a firefighter, then by all means. But if your goal is to maintain or build muscle and reduce the amount of body fat that you have to follow a different approach. It's not about more suffering. And I also don't want it to get confused with saying that cardio is useless. It's just that you don't need to do it 5 or 6 days a week, 7 days a week in some cases to get the good results. If you want the cardiovascular benefits of doing cardio to improve your VO2 max and everything like that, then 1 to 2 sessions of high intensive cardio a week are going to do wonders for you, not just because you're burning less of that 100% glucose range, but because you're actually allowing your central nervous system to recover and enabling yourself to return stronger every single time, which will in hand allow you to do this for the long term, allow you to have longevity. Like who wants to do cardio 6 days a week for the next 20, 25 years? That doesn't sound like a very good way to live to me anyways. So if you follow in my footsteps and realize like, hey, I don't want to hate my life every single day, then great. Good news is you don't have to. So stop doing endless cardio. That's the actual first step to burning fat like a machine. Now let's talk about the second one. You have to walk more, all right? If you're not going to do a bunch of cardio, then what should you be doing to replace that activity? That becomes the next question. And the good news is, although I'm not ever going to be the guy that tells you should work out every single day, that doesn't mean that you should be sedentary on the days that you're not. So what can we replace that activity with? Now, here's the interesting thing. Walking more is the fat loss hack, especially for firefighters, because you burn fat and glucose in this heart zone. If you're walking like a normal human being, you burn it at about 50% to 50%, 50% fat to 50% glucose. So what does this really translate to? You will burn more fat walking 10 miles than you would if you were to run and sprint 10 miles. Now that's incredible. So say, okay, Robbie, what is the amount that I should walk for fat loss? Now, what we have to consider here is like, yeah, the more energy you burn, the more fat you're going to burn. But there's also a balance factor. There's also a like, hey, what's the law of diminishing returns on this concept? Because just like anything else, when you burn enough energy, what you don't want to do is impact your appetite too extremely. So for that reason, what we want to see is somewhere in the range of about 10 to 14,000 steps per day. Now, if you're really serious, you're like, balls to the walls, gung-ho on your fat loss journey, and you want to do it fast, I'm going to say, hey, walk closer to 14,000 steps a day. That's what we're going to want to see if you're really dedicated and serious. Can you still get results, and will you still see progress with 10? Absolutely. You'll see a lot. It's just like, hey, what's the parameter? How fast do you want to get there, and how serious and dedicated are you to this process? Now, I can tell you this. If you're going to get in that amount of steps, the smart way to do it is not to try and carve out more time in your day to make it happen, like sacrifice other things. Find a way to fit it into the things that you're already doing. Find a way to make it a part of a routine that you already have structured and established. If you try to make new time, then it's probably not going to happen, because I assume if you're listening to this video and you're a firefighter that you're probably pretty busy and you have a lot of other things that you juggle in life. So how can you make this a priority without having to make new time for it? That is the question. But no matter what, you're going to want to follow this format of 10 to 14,000 steps every single day. All right, next, if we want rapid fat loss in the fire service, then what we have to talk about too is how much should I be training? What type of training should I be doing? Now, we know that along with walking, what also stimulates fat loss when done with a good diet, which I'm going to get to right after this point, is going to be weight training, resistance training to build and maintain the muscle tissues that you need to perform as a firefighter operating at a high capacity. So how much should you be training, and what kind of training should you be doing? That's really what this point is about. First, I'll answer what's the frequency, and this is going to shock a lot of you, but the frequency is no more than 2 to 3 times per week when it comes to your functional strength training. And I want to be clear when I say functional strength training, because functional training has gotten such a bad rap in the last about a year, right? The Jeff Nippard kind of science-based lifting community has taken that term and run with it into a way that it's really not designed to be. We're not talking about, isolating movements and optimizing for hypertrophy. We're talking about like, hey, what are the movements that are going to strengthen your ankles, knees, low back, and shoulders? What are the things that are actually going to translate to the activities on the fireground, whether that's the dragging of the victim, pulling ceiling during overhaul? What's going to help you not get injured when you're bending and twisting in awkward positions, picking up a 300 or 400 pound patient on the ground when they're wedged between the mattress and the dresser? Right? You've been there. You know that sometimes the things that you have to do are very unusual in the career as a firefighter. So the training that you need to be doing is full body, to move the body as a unit, to move it as a whole, functional strength and mobility. That is what we want to focus on. You can have both. And by the way, if your goal is to look good naked or on the beach, you can get that too. It just comes as a consequence when you combine good strength training, full body strength, becoming the human version of an ant, and you combine that with a good, strong nutritional and recovery strategy. Then we start talking about, man, that person is actually going to become unstoppable at the firehouse. They're going to have people looking at you and going like, what is this guy on, and how is he doing it? Because it will have seemed like you've unlocked the secret. But the secret is you just have to do a little bit less. Do more of the smart things and stop trying to burn out by doing so much. That is the genuine principle that all firefighters need to follow. That is what is going to help you be successful long term. All right, lastly, you want to lose fat rapidly as a firefighter? This is also going to surprise you. I'm not going to tell you to go extreme. This last point is, what's the diet that you should follow? What's the principles? And I don't subscribe to any kind of diet as a firefighter. I think it's stupid to subscribe to a diet. I think there's too many preferences. But what you can follow are principles. And what I will tell you is that there is no firefighter on the planet that's going to benefit from eating at an extreme calorie deficit. If you're like 260 pounds and you're trying to eat 1,500 to 1,800 calories, that's a surefire way to start and stop again, to lose weight, to gain weight in a vicious cycle over the course of a decade. If that sounds familiar, then yes, I am talking to you, because that's not the way to do it. If you really want to get serious about rapid fat loss, then you actually need to fuel for performance, do everything else we've talked about in this video, and then actually eat at a moderate deficit. All right, I will tell you and let you in on a secret that my first mentor told me, which was, he said, Robbie, take the long road. It's faster. And what he said was, and what that really means is, like, do the work that you need to do. Don't try to rush into it, because you're not going to have to start over as many times. And even though it's quote unquote the long road, you actually get to your destination faster because you don't have to keep starting over. So that's the same kind of approach you need to take with your journey when it comes to being a firefighter. And the actual numbers that you need to eat at are very simple, because we don't need to make it complicated, and it doesn't need to be controlling for every single macronutrient in the game. This isn't a bodybuilding community. This isn't a bodybuilding. This isn't a bodybuilding community. It is a bodylifting community. Like, firefighting is a bodylifting community, let me tell you. But it's not a bodybuilding community. And so that means we just have to make it simple. It means we just have to, like, boil it down to its nuts and bolts. What are the most important concepts that make these strategies work? And I will tell you, the answer to that is just eat at your goal body weight times the number 13. And start there for your fat loss journey. And it's going to be, I promise, it's going to be more calories than you expect. You're going to be like, that seems like a lot. Yes, it should. Because you're not trying to go into an extreme. We're not trying to do more than a 300 or 400 calorie deficit. Trying to have it be something that you can maintain and still get stronger doing and still build muscle doing. Like, if that's not your goal, then no, this isn't the strategy for you. But if it is, then you should seriously consider it. Okay, awesome. And then what's the amount of protein, right? Protein's become such a buzzword, but what can we take away from this? What can we do to actually make this work for firefighting? Now, the good news is, again, since we're not a bodybuilding community, the science doesn't even follow this idea of, like, 1 gram per pound of body weight. That's, like, been debunked so many times, and it just confuses me that there's still people out in the space talking about how that's what you should be doing, or more. I hear people talking about 1 to 1.5. Like, are you kidding me? Like, even for a person my size, if I did 1.5, like 250 grams of protein, do you realize how unreasonable that is? Like, how unnatural that is? Like, no. I'm not doing that. I'm not prioritizing that much protein, and I don't have to, because the science shows that the amount that you should eat is 0.75 grams per pound of body weight is where it levels off. Anything beyond that you can do, but there's no additional benefits. So why don't you just funnel that into the other macronutrients that are going to be beneficial to you, healthy fats and carbs that you need for performance? So combine these two concepts, right? If your goal is rapid fat loss, then, and we don't want to lose muscle, then combine all of these things together, right? Stop doing cardio every single day. Boil it down to 1, maybe 2 times per week. Walk a little bit more, 10 to 14,000 steps per day, 14,000 steps if you really want to get after it. Weight train with full body functional strength and mobility, 2 to 3 times per week. And then lastly, eat calories at your goal body weight times the number 13, and your protein at your goal body weight times 0.75 grams per pound of body weight. You put those things together, then give yourself a month and watch what happens. I dare you to come back to this video and tell me it didn't work. The truth is, this strategy has worked for a ton of my clients, right? We could take Kyle, for example, for over the course of a year and a half, lost 140 pounds, being more moderate, and the secret was that he just used a system that was designed for firefighters in the first place. We could look at David out in Philadelphia as a captain who has built functional strength and now can lead his crew with confidence as a captain at his fire department. And then we also have Justin, a San Jose firefighter who lost 20 pounds and got down to his goal body weight of 165 pounds in just 3 months. All of these people followed the strategies, the principles, and the guidance of the coaches that we have in this community that all understand the fire service, that all have been a part of it and have been boots on the ground and understand what's going on. Now, I'll tell you one more time, if you're interested in hearing more about that, you can apply for a free strategy session with one of our enrollment coaches to see if this program would actually be something that makes sense and works for you. If that's something you want to follow up on, I'm leaving the link in the description of this video. And lastly, I'll just leave you with this. Regardless of how you feel and think about the job, being in shape is part of the uniform, and the only person that can do something about that is you. I'll talk to you guys next time.